so let's just go ahead and hop into it. I really wanted to have an opportunity to talk to you about buffering, and if you are a member of my newsletter, you'll see that I recently did a post about buffering agents and shared that. But it's one of those things that in dentistry, right? We don't. It's newer to us, right? That is something, when I learned local anesthesia over 20 years ago, that wasn't really something that was talked about. And I would have to say it's really only been within the last 10 years that it's been a topic. And really, even with that, really only probably the last 3 to 5 years that really it's been something more on the forefront. We're seeing more continuing education courses including that into their anesthesia items. We're seeing more articles being put out all about it as well. So, I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on what is it all about. If you haven't heard of it, it's a sodium bicarbonate solution that is added into our local anesthetics. Because one of the reasons why our patients aren't super happy when they get injections, right, is they can feel it, right, with our pre-anesthesia wasn't coherent enough, but another thing is they can feel the sting of the anesthetic going in. So the buffering agent, that sodium bicarbonate, neutralizes that pH to keep the sting away, which is nice because that anesthetic has a pH pretty close to a lemon. And if you've ever put a lemon over across a cut on your hand, or if you've had lemon juice squirt into your eye, you know that is not fun at all. So that's one of the things that a buffering agent will do, is it will neutralize that pH, okay? One of the other things that the buffering agent does is it actually helps the anesthetic do its job by entering into the nerve cell so it can block the communication, right? So normally the pH of the body is right around 7.4. Now, when our anesthetic solution goes in, which is right around 3, it has to do all this hard work to be able to transform so it can enter into that nerve cell. It has to come and basically, without getting too sciencey, basically parts of the molecules have to break apart so it can enter into the nerve cell. Well, when we have a very acidic solution, it makes it really hard for those molecules to break apart. It takes a longer time for that to happen. With that sodium bicarbonate, what that does is it allows that solution to be a little more free when it enters into our interstitial tissues, up into that mucosa, so that the anesthetic molecule could then enter into the nerve cell and then stop the communication channels that way. So it makes it a lot easier for our patients because they're not feeling the sting as much. And it makes it easier on us too, because then we get to have an opportunity to identify if our patient has profound anesthesia a lot sooner. So in some instances up to like within 30 seconds to a minute. And when you see the studies and you see this curve, this bell curve of how much time it takes for profound anesthesia to happen, especially with mandibular blocks versus with regular anesthetic versus with buffered anesthetic, and, you're shaving minutes, 5-10 minutes off of your time. And I know as a hygienist, when I'm doing my periotherapy, I want to be able to have as much time as possible to instrument with my patient, right? I want to know right away that they're adequately numb, and I also want to be able to have as much time. Sometimes there's only an hour. Sometimes there's an hour and a half. But even then, right, that's sometimes not enough time. And same thing, with on the dentist side when doing restorative work. So something to think about. I'm curious, put in the comments if you've used buffering agents before, what your experiences have been with it, and what your thoughts are. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention and just start the conversation. So happy to answer or have that discussion with anyone. Just put it down into the comments. And now I want to go ahead and as that's going through and I'll pop through is, one of the things that happens oftentimes with anesthesia, because our patients are nervous, is they're more apt to have a medical emergency after local anesthesia. Syncope is number one. The other one that's most common is hyperventilation. Okay, so scaling up innovations, the doctors you work with have used it, but you haven't. Well, it'll be interesting to see if maybe next time you're doing a periotherapy to give it a try and see what your thoughts are on it. If you do, let's have a conversation. I'm curious. Okay. And by the way, friends, if you are on here, you should follow Scaling Up Innovations. Some really cool information that you provide. So thank you. I appreciate you being here, and thank you for sharing all the stuff that you share with us. So go follow. I'm sorry, Facebook friends. I don't know what how else, but go onto Instagram and follow them. Okay, so with anesthesia, syncope is going to be a big major one, and it's mainly going to be our guys. They're going to have that. And then hyperventilation, that's going to be us ladies. And if you've never hyperventilated before, I will tell you, it's no fun. I was in a major car accident one time. I had to be wheeled into the emergency room, and I'm laying there, and all of a sudden, I just couldn't breathe. That's what it felt like. Like, I can't breathe. And I was laying there, and I'm pounding. I'm like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And thankfully, the nurse, when he came in, he identified right away what was going on, and was able to go through and have a conversation and get me off the ladder, off the ledge, and calm me down and help me get to a really a much better breathing rate, and re-oxygenate myself, in which in actuality, I didn't need to be reoxygenated, but we often think of it like that because you feel like you have air hunger, like if your patient experiences this. And tell me if you've ever experienced it before. If you've hyperventilated before, let me know, and you'll identify with this. But you don't feel like you can breathe at all. You feel like you're choking. It's not a comfortable situation. What's happening is we're actually over oxygenated. We are over oxygenated. Somebody says, buffering tomorrow for a hygienist in Spokane who has quads using Onset, and she's excited to see it as a live demo. Oh, great. Well, it's wonderful. I'm glad that that's going to be able to work. Yeah, Onset is a wonderful buffering agent. When you're hyperventilating, you're over oxygenated. Over oxygenated. And what we need to do is actually reverse it. So if you are in a situation with somebody who's hyperventilating, the first thing you want to do is don't give them oxygen. Okay? Don't give them oxygen. We need to calm their breath down and actually help them hold in some of that carbon dioxide that's in their lungs. We want them to hold on to that. So sometimes, right, just breathing into our hands, their hands, having them really slow down. Try to get them to hold their breath because they're panicking, and it's like these really quick, sharp breaths, and they're getting rid of all of their oxygen, or they're getting rid of all their CO2, but over-oxygenating, getting too much oxygen into their system. So we want to calm them down and get them to a point where they can reverse it. Once it's done and over with, in general, your patient's good to go. It doesn't take a lot of time to calm it down either. As long as you stay calm and don't panic, you can get your patient to calm down and blow off all that extra oxygen and get in the balancing carbon that we need to have. All right, so just some thoughts with you on that. And I'm looking over here in Facebook land, don't see any comments. Let's see, we've got a nice comment up here. Okay. Somebody says, Scaling Up Innovation says, I'd like to know more about the wand in a future live. That was one of the systems they used, but I have never been trained on that. The second I was in contact with was a tower system that you had a syringe. Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of different automated delivery devices that are out there. Yeah, we'll have a discussion about that. For sure. Thank you. Yeah. Will you send me Scaling Up Innovations? Will you send me a message and remind me that that's something, and I'll put something together. Appreciate it. For sure. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Anybody else curious about automated delivery devices? Yeah. I've had some experiences with a few, so I'm happy to share those too. All right, friends. So to recap, hyperventilation. Do not give them oxygen. That's the one urgent emergency situation in the dental office that we're not going to give oxygen for. We're going to give them nice, calming, slow breaths, get their breathing rate to come down, get them to hold their breath or breathe into their hands so that they can switch the balance, get rid of all the extra oxygen, and try to breathe, keep that carbon dioxide in their lungs. All right? So that's what we're going to do. And what ends up happening is it's actually an alkaline, their lungs go out of a pH balance too. Just like with buffering, we want to stay within a pH balance. So with our buffering systems, the beautiful thing about those is that it will help take the sting out of our patients when we're anesthetizing. Our patients will appreciate it so much more because they won't have that burning sensation. And then also it will help with us identifying how profound they are, if our injection worked, because they're going to get numb right away because that anesthetic doesn't have to work very hard. No longer are we expecting our patient to get the anesthetic prepared for themselves. Because that's basically if it's too long for a little short like this. So sometime you'll just have to come in and join in on one of my CE courses or take one of my online on-demand courses, and we'll talk more about buffering. So until then, friends, I want to leave you again with my weekly quotes that I do, and this one's from Jen Rohn, and it really spoke to me a lot, and I think that in so many things that we do in our life, we can apply this. So I hope it speaks to you. And his quote says, "If you really want to do something, you'll find a way to make it happen." I kind of paraphrase that, but you'll find a way, right? And if you don't, you'll find excuses to not do it. And it's so true. How many times have you been like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym today, and then you're like, oh, well, I'm too tired, or oh, this happened, or so you don't even work out at all. Not even going for a walk around the block. Or I'm gonna drink a whole bunch of water today, and I had back-to-back patients, and so now I'm just gonna not worry about it instead of trying to find breaks. Like if you renew, you're like, I want to make sure I get all my water in that I want to drink for the day. You'll figure out a way. Like maybe you're gonna put your water bottle somewhere else so that you can take sips in between patients. So just letting you know, if there's something you really want to do, you'll figure it out. You'll find a way to do it. And if there's something you say that you really want to do, but you keep finding excuses, do a little soul searching and find out, was this something that I really wanted to do, or that I thought was what I should want to do, right? All right, friends, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for joining me every Tuesday, and share this information with your friends.